It was the biggest sporting match in Newcastle in recent memory, and it was won and lost by an offside goal. They were intending on using the VAR, but it wasn't working.
I don't want to be a sore loser, but if that goal was offside, I just wonder what the point of the VAR is.
In an extraordinary admission, the FFA says a technical failure meant the video assistant referee didn't have access to the camera views, which would have enabled him to make an offside ruling. The software was partially lost 30 seconds before Victory's goal due to a malfunction. It was restored some minutes after the goal, and it was too late to change the decision. With or without a replay, Jets fans know what they saw.
Offside goal.
It's offside. It was offside.
Honestly, mark my words, that is offside.
Fans at packed live sites just as shocked. Today's admission, cold comfort. Club CEO Laurie McKenna disappointed but diplomatic.
Saw the statement. I've spoke to Gregor Rock for the FFA. He phoned me earlier this morning. You know, there's been a malfunction. It doesn't change the result. At least the FFA have put it out there, they got it wrong. Doesn't help the result, but at least they're putting their hands up. There've been quite a few issues through the year with the system. FFA are trying to address it. They need to address it more, and they need to train more people up to do the job properly, so this doesn't happen next year.
Obviously, there's no telling what the final result would have been if the goal had been disallowed. The Jets now choosing to focus on the positives from the season and the fans who packed the stadium last night.
We worked so hard to get as many in that ground as possible. It was a great occasion for Newcastle, forget Newcastle Jets, but to have such a game up in Newcastle was outstanding.
And with a replay of the match out of the question, it's onwards and upwards for next season.
The fact that the stadium sold out in 2 days, the support we've had all week has been phenomenal. There's definitely been a shift in the region, and hopefully this is just the start of a bright future.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
Putting their best hoof forward in a place where horses reign. Today, they were the toast of the town.
It's all about the fantastic influence that horses of all breeds in the horse capital of Australia have meant to the upper hunter and will continue to be so.
This does make the wheels go round and keep people going for another couple of weeks. They are very, very dry times, and there are a lot of people doing it very, very tough.
Celebrating the town's rich equine history, the street parade, one of the main events during the 10 days, its switch from Saturday to Sunday hailed a huge success.
We've had, I think, just shy of 70 floats, which is probably slightly up on last year, and certainly a general consensus in terms of attendance figures is definitely up.
From musical tributes to horsepower of a different kind, even the local equine hospital took horsing around to a new level. In a year of firsts, the festival's namesake was honoured, Horse of the Year, already a legend in his own right.
Acres Liberty Bow, a 19-year-old prodigious sire, winner of 92 camp drafts and still competing at the top level.
I was over the moon when I found out, and I'm so proud of this horse. He's got a big heart and his longevity is something else. To be still competing at this age in the performance horse world it's very special.
The festival wrapping up with the Scone Cup. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
The decider drew a sellout crowd and the home side started well. Against the run of play, the victory hit the front. Replays showed several Melbourne players were offside. The Jets tried to hit back, but man of the match Lawrence Thomas stood tall. Bessart Barisha was playing his part to perfection, while Leroy George tried to extend Melbourne's lead. The home side looked certain to equalise before the break. But 1-0 was how it stayed. The second half became a scrappy affair. Roy O'Donovan came off second best in a challenge with Barisha. O'Donovan played on and went close, but as the game entered stoppage time, he received his marching orders.
The ball's in the air, you're sticking a foot at it. It's a grand final, there's 5 minutes to go. And Lawrence Thomas has come out and been brave.
The skipper tried to find the positives after full time.
At the end of the day, when the opposing goalkeeper wins man of the match, and obviously you've done something right. I think we've got to remember too where we came from last year to where we are, and although it's disappointed, extremely proud of the boys.
Coach Ernie Merrick believes the referee let too much go early on.
We were hoping for a free-flowing, enjoyable, entertaining game of football, and despite how much we tried to do it, it just kept breaking down. And if that's the way you win, that's the way you win. I would hope not to coach a team that plays like that.
But none of that would change the fact Melbourne has now won more grand finals than any club in A-League history.
He was a magician last night. He was different class for that first 30, 40 minutes, and then he run out of legs a little bit, but I think the fans up here have got a lot to come. He's so proud of what the team's done, and we're looking forward to a qualifying spot in the Asian Cup. We're looking forward to next year, and hopefully we can bring another grand final back to Newcastle.
Leading 2-1 at the break, Rosebud added more pressure early in the second half. But it was the Blues who tied things up as Cal Lewis produced a special solo effort. Adamstown wasn't done yet. Chris Berlin found Connor Hayden, who restored the home side's advantage. The Blues pushed forward looking for an equaliser, but Ben Kelly refused to be beaten again. Rosebud scoring a popular win over the competition frontrunners. At Hamilton South, Olympic and Lake Macquarie were desperate for a win to kickstart their seasons. The home side had a host of great chances in the first half. Time and time again, they found the woodwork or a determined Blues keeper, Stuart Plant. Against the run of play, the Roosters hit the front as Hamilton's defenders put one on a plate for Lake Macquarie. Hamilton hit back quickly as Simon Mooney headed home. Lake Macquarie had another chance to hit the front when Tom Davies was penalised for handball. Sam Walker made it 2-1 from the spot. Plant continued to frustrate Hamilton's attack before Mooney found a way through for his second. Morgan Akeno almost scored the strangest of goals, but Tyler Warren just got to his pass in time. Plant was doing his best for the Roosters, but once again it was Mooney who hit the target, scoring a memorable hat-trick.
An absolute farce. That's how those who live in the PFAS contamination zone summed up the report released today.
You've only got to do a quick skim over the top and realise that it's just garbage. It's pretty much not worth the paper it's written on. Funded by the polluter to give them to find the research to get the outcome that they're chasing.
I think it's disgusting. It's so upsetting. You've changed our whole way of living for the last 3 years. And now you're coming out saying it's fine. It's not fine. It will never be fine until you take responsibility.
The independent expert health panel established by the federal government concluded there is mostly limited or in some cases no evidence that exposure to PFAS is linked with disease and no evidence suggesting an increased cancer risk.
That the evidence does not support any specific health or disease screening or health interventions. That is irresponsible to the point of being negligent.
Residents believe the advice allows the government to avoid liability and compensation.
And this document was written with an end point already in sight. And that end point was to allow this pathetic government to do nothing for us. All they have to do now is quote the report.
They say it's a big slap in the face for those battling cancer.
55 people in one road suffering from cancer over the last 10 years.
And dozens more in Saltash, with properties near drains and creeks like this one.
Little clutches of people around the area that happen to live around drains that coincidentally happen to have cancer. And all these drains come from the one source, and it's not the elephant in the room anymore. Everybody knows about it, and it's time to start dealing with it.
Jane Goldsmith, NBN News. A row of 7 Housing Commission properties at Bar Beach, one of the city's most coveted postcodes, all sold by the state government earlier this year. The price guide was $1.3 million each. It's one example of the public housing sell-off, while the waiting list hits 150,000 people statewide and 500,000 nationally.
Anecdotally, the people in our teams tell us that there's a significant waiting list for public housing. The people we support are undergoing a huge amount of rental stress at the moment, and that's directly related to lack of access to social and affordable housing.
16 heritage-listed terrace houses in Newcastle East have also been sold. Some of the tenants were Department of Housing clients. Documents released by Labor under Freedom of Information reveal that the government got rid of 357 public housing properties last year. 282 of those were sold to private owners. But the coalition has defended its approach.
We've got a record spend and record construction program underway, and obviously there's a pipeline there, and those houses will become available.
Jane Goldsmith, NBN News. Rehabilitated and returning home, all thanks to dedicated volunteers at Port Stephens who today had something extra to celebrate.
We're announcing $3 million for the Koala Sanctuary and Tourism Facility here at Treescapes in 1 Mile.
The state government funding a dream come true for local conservationists.
You don't have many days like this in politics.
Approximately half of the $3 million will go towards the specific hospital and associated facilities, and the other half will go into site infrastructure to support the ecotourism side of the facility.
Which it's hoped will become a major tourism drawcard and inspire the next generation of eco-warriors.
I believe that visitors can come here, have an incredible experience, and then will almost go out like koala missionaries back home.
Labor MP Kate Washington has welcomed the funding announcement but says the job is only half done.
There's little point putting money towards a koala sanctuary if we're not also protecting critical koala habitat.
Residents are still fighting to return Mambo wetlands to public hands.
It's been 2 years since they sold it off to a developer, and it's really disappointing to see that it wasn't part of the bigger announcement that was made yesterday by the Premier.
Yeah, the government is in negotiations to buy that back.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
He's lit up the rugby league world, a bona fide superstar on the rise. A trademark step, top of the Dally M counts and in contention for the Maroon squad.
Just want to perform every week for the boys and just play good footy here at the Knights, and if I get a call up, I get a call up.
The 20-year-old is modest and doesn't seem to shoulder any of the hype.
Outside of footy, I literally just don't think about it. If I'm not here, I'm not really thinking about footy. I'm out with my mates or family, and this is probably the happiest I've been with my footy. And not only that, but outside of my footy, just like my life. I love the boys here, I love the place, the people.
Ponga was a rare shining night during a lacklustre performance against the Bunnies.
We didn't start with the right attitude or an intent, so we let far too many points in and didn't win our contacts.
It was very disappointing in the fact that we got 22,000 people as well, and it wasn't the performance they needed. So the boys are feeling it and ready to redeem ourselves, so to speak, for this weekend.
Nathan Brown demanded an extra training session this afternoon to fix the defensive holes exposed by Souths.
Obviously identified that's what we need to work on and just tighten up through the middle there.
Brock Lamb seems to have recovered from a hip niggle training this morning alongside Jack Cogger. He could be in the mix for Friday night's clash with Penrith. Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
When you've won more than $2 million, you're entitled to superstar treatment. In Her Time is already Smith's highest profile runner. Now the TAB has selected the 5-year-old as its representative in the Everest, a race worth $13 million. After being overlooked for a slot in 2017, the news came as a great relief to her trainer.
We don't have to worry about trying to get a slot now. It's happened, so that's why we can just sort of concentrate, move on and head towards the Everest knowing that we're in.
The Mayor is coming off a disappointing start in the TJ Smith.
We can't do much about it now. It's all water under the bridge. Still hurts a little bit, you know, the way the sort of race panned out and, you know, what happened. But look, we've moved on and looking forward to Brisbane on Saturday.
She warmed up for the Doomben 10,000 with a barrier trial win on April 24. In her time, burst onto the scene in Brisbane in 2017, but couldn't score a breakthrough Group 1 win there.
That was the first time we've taken her away last year, and she was really unlucky not to win at least 2 of the 3 races up there, so hopefully we can get a bit more luck with the barrier draws.
The former Upper Hunter local will also have a runner in the Country Cup as Scone Race Club hosts the nation's richest country meeting. Australia's top trainers and jockeys will feature during 2 big days of racing on Friday and Saturday.
It's not just individuals looking for a tax break this budget. Hunter business groups are also hoping for a cash injection.
We would hope for a flow through to business as people don't just hoard that money, as it were, but get out there, and the multiplier effects that can come from that through the economy would be more than welcome.
The region is already a world leader in innovation and research, so the local wish list includes more incentives to help that work continue.
Keep funding programs that encourage innovation are vitally important for the green shoots that we have up in this region to turn into tall trees.
Then there's the ongoing expansion of the Williamtown RAF base.
We'll be looking very carefully to make sure that defence expenditure and that focus on defence continues, because it's a real opportunity for this region, not only for the Hunter but for what we can do for New South Wales and, for that matter, the nation.
Welfare groups are desperate for means to address rental stress, plus a continued commitment to the National Disability Insurance Scheme and a boost to the New Start allowance.
At the moment, it's less than $40 a day is available in New Start, and it's well overdue. It's been a decade since there's been an increase.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
They live next door to my mum and dad. He's a wonderful young man. Huey, mate, stay strong. You know, fight hard, mate. I know you will.
The thin blue line out in force, but this operation was all about having a chat.
It's important for us to be out with the community to just show them that we're human like they are. But it's also a great opportunity for the police to remember that why we do the things that we do, and that is to protect and serve the community itself.
The response here is very positive, and people that do the right thing love to see the police. They love a police visibility, they love a police presence, and so this morning is a really positive step.
The get-together quite literally getting the thumbs up.
It's nice just to have a coffee and have a chat. It's lovely.
It's lovely for the kids, isn't it?
It was a chance to create positive memories for big kids and little ones alike.
He's a bit standoffish when it comes to policemen and firemen, and I just want him to be down here and to know that they're here to help us and that they're friendly, and yeah, I just thought it was a great idea for the community.
The Boys in Blue inspiring the next generation by teaching youngsters about life on the beat.
We want to be police officers when we graduate school, so we thought that would be good to talk to some.
The community is the force's eyes and ears on the ground, so today also provided the chance to build vital connections.
Our job is intelligence driven, and we don't know about it unless people tell us. We rely so heavily on the things that the community tell us. So if there's something happening that you think we need to know about, then make the phone call and make us aware of it.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
You still have to do dialysis, so it's still a chunk of your day gone. But as far as apart from that, yeah, you're on holidays. You know, you get to look out and you're in a caravan park and right near the beach.
Some of the patients who I've seen on the bus haven't had a holiday in 10 years or even more, and it's even more lovely when you see their families able to enjoy a holiday.
A beautiful, happy family of 4. The journey for Mum, Mama, Dominic and Gabrielle has been a little different, but their story is becoming more common. Oceane, a midwife herself, has helped drive change within midwifery services throughout Hunter New England Health.
In many ways, it's no different. It's that same but different concept that we want to be treated just like everyone else, but there is no father for same-sex female couples, or there might not be a mother for males who go through surrogacy, and so the language is different.
Forums and education programs are helping midwives better care for LGBTQ parents.
Women wanted more individualised care, that they wanted midwives to acknowledge, where they were coming from and what their needs and issues were.
As Oceane knows firsthand, starting or adding to your family can be a vulnerable time for anyone. Through her own experience and caring for others, she believes continuity of care is key, like having the same midwife throughout a pregnancy.
She knew that what I would need extra care with because I was like a first-time mum, but she backed off on the things that she knew, I would be confident with and all that as a second-time mum, and she always respected that. Even though it was my first pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding experience, that I was already a mum.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
Rivals in the heat of battle.
That looks very nasty indeed on Thomas.
But back to being long-time friends afterwards. Now Lawrence Thomas is set to come to his former teammates' defence.
He actually knows Lawrence Thomas very well, and Lawrence Thomas will go a reference for him as well. You saw Roy going up and apologising to him at the end of the game. Hopefully he'll be seen, and hopefully he'll get 2 weeks, which we think he deserves, and then we move on and come back big and better for next season.
2 weeks is the same suspension Mariners import Val Brahma received for this challenge on Brisbane's Corey Gamero. Newcastle hopes a written reference from Thomas, who became friends with O'Donovan during their time at English side Coventry, will help its argument against a lengthier ban.
We just think it's a bit over the top. It was a dangerous tackle, nobody's getting away for that, but we were down 1-0 under difficult circumstances, and we don't want to go on about the VAR, but it was the last minute of a grand final in front of your own fans trying to desperately get a touch on the ball.
Newcastle will also present a medical report stating O'Donovan's vision was impaired by his fractured eye socket, suffered moments earlier. A date for the hearing is yet to be set, but the striker will appear via video conference. He flies back to Ireland on Thursday, and the Jets are standing by him.
He's one of the best professional players we've got at the club. Helpful to young kids, great in the community, and a great ambassador for the game. Okay, he's done a few things in the past that regrets, but that's football. He's not a bad person. He's a player who wants to win games of football.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
We want to be here, and we believe our time is now. It's going to take a lot, but that's just the way our mindset is. We know we're leaders of this team, and the bling, that's something just to represent home.
The Rabbitohs drubbing delivered some tough lessons and forced some tough decisions.
The more people have to earn their position through reserve grade or through really good form, the better longer term players our younger players will be.
Nathan Brown hasn't held back. Josh King comes in for veteran Jacob Lilliman. Danny Levi returns for co-skipper Jamie Buhrer. Luke Yates takes Jacob Saifidi's place, while Brock Lang comes in from the cold. He'll play halfback at the expense of Jack Cogger.
Jack's probably a touch unlucky, if truth be told. The need to kick the ball well, and Brock's a goal kicker as well, which we haven't been doing so well as well. So he's got some things, some strings to his bow, I suppose, which can certainly help us improve.
Newcastle's kicking game against South Sydney, or lack of, proved crucial.
As my great mentor, Maxi Nennis, once said to me when I first started coaching, you've got to have someone that can kick the ball. And Brock kicks the ball naturally very, very well. It's not that he's gone back and he was the best player, but he certainly, his last game he had 3 try assists and kicked the ball very well. And his defence was improving.
Levi is another recalled from the New South Wales Cup.
He's certainly making the right noises back in reserve grade. He certainly handled himself well around training. Is he happy that he's playing reserve grade? No, he's certainly not happy, and neither was Brock, but that's not a bad thing for these guys. Sometimes going back's the one thing that can make them, I suppose, appreciate what they've got a little bit more.
It's hoped the injection of King and Yates will spark more enthusiasm in the pack.
Our forwards are going to have to, certainly play above their weight to give us a good shot.
Brown, well aware Penrith is no easy task.
I firmly believe they can go all the way this year if they can have some luck with injury.
Meanwhile, Newcastle will again feature in the Legends of League tournament on the Central Coast in November, raising money for the Mark Hughes Foundation.
We're just very grateful to be involved. A lot of old players that I played with and against. It's a really great day.
there'll be plenty of action on deck and probably not a lot of sleepers as we push for the last 24 hours to get to Newport.
It's confronting to watch, but this is the moment Christian Hernandez's life was almost cut tragically short. 8:15 a.m. and the 35-year-old is just preparing to open the pharmacy for the day when a Toyota Corolla comes crashing through the shop front, leaving him pinned beneath debris. Security footage shows staff rushing to check on him and the driver, a 71-year-old woman.
She appeared to be totally in shock. I don't think she realised what had happened.
Emergency services raced to the scene, freeing Mr Hernandez, who was then flown to John Hunter Hospital suffering serious pelvic injuries.
He has no broken bones, soft tissue injury. He's going to be a very sore boy for quite a few days.
He certainly got out of this, really quite reasonably well, considering, one, how far the vehicle had actually gone into the pharmacy, and two, where he was actually trapped by the car with the injuries sustained.
It's thought this last-minute decision to jump may have saved his life. Police believe the elderly driver may have accidentally hit the accelerator. She returned a negative breath test and her vehicle was seized for mechanical examination. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Defence was the focal point in the Hunter, with budget papers confirming the arrival of 2 F-35A fighters in December. A further $1.8 billion was committed to the Joint Strike Fighter program over the next financial year.
Giving our defence forces what they need to do their job to protect our values and our freedom.
But for families in the red zone, there's no compensation on the horizon. Instead, the provision of bottled water will continue, a move worth $55.2 million over 5 years, shared amongst 4 PFAS-affected sites across the country. While the government has spruiked this budget as an infrastructure spending spree, big projects in the Hunter were overlooked, including the second stage of the Lake Macquarie Transport Interchange. Also off the list, the Muswellbrook and Hexham bypasses. Labor MPs say they're disappointed the Hunter was seemingly forgotten, while the Hunter Business Chamber believes more needs to be done, saying economic benefits will have to come from ongoing projects, not new ones. Welfare groups feel satisfied with the reinforced commitment to the NDIS, but let down by no increases to New Start allowances.
What we'd ask both sides, both government and opposition at all levels of government, is actually just to start taking vulnerable people into account when they're setting their budget and policy settings.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
We were required to take immediate action, have the matter heard in the Industrial Relations Commission. That matter was heard yesterday. There'll be a report back on the 16th.
To have this accessible and for people not to have to travel into Newcastle on a weekend or out of hours.
Two months of celebrating this and this. The annual Hunter Food and Wine Festival provides a chance for vineyards and restaurants to showcase their wares with 40 separate events.
Ranging from gourmet food events or activities, we have cooking schools, we have wine and food trails, to major events.
Mount Pleasant is paying tribute to one of its late winemakers.
Morris O'Shea was a big believer in wine and food and experiences, as well as sort of obviously crafting table wine.
Originally designed to attract visitors during the quiet winter months, the festival now draws an estimated 35,000 people.
Predominantly Sydney. Also Brisbane is a key market for us.
Winemaker Mike DeUlius is hosting weekly masterclasses and showing off wine and cheese pairings. He says the festival is a great excuse for locals to become tourists.
Be able to come up and immerse themselves in something they want to know more about or have an experience that they wouldn't normally get to have. It's just a great opportunity.
The domestic market is not the only focus over the coming months. The Tourism Association have secured a six-figure grant to attract more visitors from Asia.
We were lucky enough to have a successful submission to run a campaign targeting the Chinese market as part of the $50 million export and regional wine support package that the federal government handed down.
The digital campaign begins in September. Georgia Ma, NBN News.
It's one of Nathan Brown's biggest shake-ups, and it's given the Knights a wake-up call.
Probably one of the biggest curses that we've had in the past have turned into a blessing. We've had a lot of people that I guess came through a little bit before their time, but now they're almost seen as experienced with 15 to 20 games under the belt. So for them to come back into the team now, they've got the belief and the trust of the rest of the squad, that's for sure. And it shows the competition that we have for spots, so you can't afford to have an off weekend anymore.
Brock Lamb is back. His teammates are tipping a big performance.
I think when you go back as a genuine first grader to reserve grade, you go back and you do start to do the things that make you a good player. So he would have gone back to his running and his kicking. And probably the best thing that happened for Brock's career at the end of last year was he got dropped in the Bulldogs game and went down to reserve grade and came back and absolutely killed the rest of it. So we're hoping to see that Brock Lamb when he comes back.
Lamb will join Nathan Ross on the left edge. He's loving his time in the centres and expects winger Ken Seo to bounce back after a tough outing against the Rabbitohs.
Unfortunately for Kenny, that's a moment that he wished he could have her over again, but you can't put it all on him. It's a team sport.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
The incident in April wasn't a new experience for Doyle. The world champion was taken to hospital but was soon back on the bike. Last week in Poland, he represented Australia in an international cup. The team was easily beaten, but Doyle was happy for the hit-out.
There's no excuse. We just didn't get our gating gloves on today, but we enjoyed ourselves. Everyone's safe and we had a good day.
Fellow Hunter rider Tom Edwards is in the Czech Republic for testing ahead of round 3 of the World Supersport 300 series in Italy. The teenager has exceeded team expectations, in with a shot at the podium before crashing on the final lap in the opening 2 races. Meanwhile, Newcastle's Sage Murdoch is heading to Sandown for round 2 of the Australian Prototype Series. His first choice car is now ready to roll after he impressed in a replacement in round 1.
Yeah, I was pushing the leaders through practice, lost a bit in qualifying, found my pace in race 3, setting my personal best lap time there.
It's been a devastating week for Red Zone residents.
We're gutted. We are absolutely gutted.
They say they've copped 3 separate blows.
The expert report lobbed up. They've had the Turnbull government say no to buybacks of their properties, and yesterday they had the final determination to approve the sand mine on Cabbage Tree Road.
The sand mine is on Port Stephens Council land and has an expected life of 8 to 15 years. Local residents had raised concerns about PFAS contamination, but on Monday a federally commissioned report found no evidence of the substance causing an increased cancer risk.
How convenient was that? 2 days later, the ink hadn't even dried on that health report and this sand mine was pushed out the door.
The Independent Planning Commission found the project would produce construction and industrial grade sand, create 6 full-time jobs and generate $16 million for the council. That doesn't add up, according to Mr Maslin.
This is $1.3 billion worth of product. Newcastle Port was sold for $1.7 billion and Newcastle Council received $600 million back in one hit. This council is going to get $16 million.
The syndicate behind the mine is yet to comment. Port Stephens Council has issued a brief statement saying it supports the extra conditions and precautions placed on the applicant to minimise any adverse impacts on the residents. Georgia Marr, NBN News.
Across the CBD, parking spaces are disappearing before our very eyes, and so are businesses.
Sushi Ku closed down just across the road this week. During the week, we're cutting our staff down to a bare minimum, just running a skeleton crew just to get through.
In a bid to drive shoppers back into the CBD and at the suggestion of inner city traders, Newcastle Council is scrapping Saturday fees at its King Street car park.
Starting this Saturday until the end of the year, except for the Supercars weekend, Saturday parking in the mall car park will be free.
The traders can ask their staff to park in there rather than park in other spaces that might be used by their customers and also their customers. So the traders should be promoting this car park as a free car park.
We'll just see if it actually works. People are just being put off because it's just hard to get into here, and once they're in here it's hard to find parks, but if they do come in, that will help.
Free parking isn't the only avenue being pursued.
We're looking at combining with council, with government, to look at some financial packages. The other one we're looking at is a hardship fund.
But with parking at a premium in the CBD, fringe suburbs are also being inundated. The council says it's investigating options.
There is a consultation happening now to actually look at should we introduce 6 limited timed spots in that location. So at the moment that's just out for consultation. Again, we want to know what people think.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
It's all about jobs at the end of the day. So these are industries that will be great employers. They're technology-based industries that obviously need skilled employers. So it's all about bringing jobs to the hunter.
A classroom filled with quiet, calm children. It's every teacher's dream, but there's no special tricks at play here, just mindfulness.
Mindfulness is just paying attention to what's happening right now. So it's being aware of the present moment. The way we teach kids is paying attention to your senses and being aware of all of your different senses, and then being aware of your emotions and feelings as well.
A primary teacher herself, Kylie Humphreys, has seen firsthand the benefits of the skill and is now teaching it to children across the Hunter.
It gives them strategies to be able to recognise their emotions, to be able to help themselves calm down in difficult situations, and it also helps them be able to build up their stamina and their attention to be able to concentrate and pay attention in class.
At Cessnock Public School, teachers say the program has worked wonders in helping the children manage their own behaviour.
The students initially have that fight or flight reaction, and part of that self-regulation that comes through the mindfulness gives them those couple of seconds just to take a breath and then choose a better option. So that's helped a lot, not only in the classroom but out in the playground as well.
And they're enjoying it too.
I like mindfulness because it helps me calm down when I'm very angry.
I learn to be more calmer with myself and with other people.
Do you like it?
Yeah, so I like it a lot.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Meet Danny. Danny the double. He's not your average school student.
He's fun. He's really easy to drive around the classroom.
Last year, Sam Aarons was diagnosed with leukemia. At times, understandably, he's been too sick to attend classes.
I get very bored and I really want to play with my friends and it gets really lonely.
But that's all changed. The telepresence robot, affectionately nicknamed Danny, allows Sam to be in two places at once. He operates Danny through simple keystrokes from the comfort of home or his hospital bed.
When he's there, he can answer questions and he can really be involved.
He's really lonely when he's at home and unwell, and he misses being part of that class community. And so to be able to dial in and talk to his friends and see them and laugh, and it makes a huge difference to him emotionally, as well as being able to keep up with his schoolwork.
It's part of a trial opening the door to a new era in virtual learning and ensuring kids like Sam are never left behind.
He's got very little control over much in his life at the moment, so to have that ability to drive this thing and, you know, be himself in the classroom, I think it's really good for him.
Dudley Public School, for one, has thrown its support behind the initiative.
I think it's been a wonderful success. I think it's really exciting, and we're very proud to be on this forefront of technology and allowing these kids into the school, and I think you've just got to have a go.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
He helped design Newcastle's jersey and will wear a special pair of boots against Penrith tomorrow. It's clear Indigenous round means the world to Connor Watson.
I'm playing for all of those kids that sort of don't get the opportunities that I get to, and just show them that, you know, if they work hard, they can be here one day.
The boots were hand-painted by his dad.
I only gave him a month, which he was pretty annoyed at me about, but yeah, they come and they look unreal, so yeah, I'm really happy with them and it's good. I'll be auctioning them after the game, so yeah, if anyone wants to make a bid, please do.
With Jack Cogger dropped after the loss to the Bunnies, Watson will play alongside Brock Lamb in the halves. He believes Lamb's kicking game will benefit him.
When I'm running, I'm playing my best footy, so I think that's a big thing for me, and obviously, yeah, just get Kalen the ball in those spaces and we'll be right.
Newcastle and Penrith are missing several injured players, but the Panthers have received a boost with Trent Merrin to return.
One of those players who can change a game with his footwork around the ruck and his ability to, you know, bring people onto the ball outside him and break tackles is something that's obviously earned him state of origin.
As they prepare to face a Blues forward, there's speculation the Knights are favourites to sign Queensland prop Tim Glasby.
For a guy to play representative football and play in premiership sides, he can add value to our already growing pack.
Aidan Guerra will come up against former Roosters teammate James Maloney tomorrow night, but he won't waste time with trash talk.
There's no use. He doesn't listen to anyone. He never has. Yeah, he's not really one of those guys you can rattle.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News. He went to the Raw with hopes of resurrecting his A-League career, but Mitch Oxborough feels he never got the chance to prove his worth.
Obviously I didn't play as much as I would have liked, but you know, it was a good club and it was a good experience, and I'm glad I did go up.
Now he's back in the NPL with Broadmeadow and coach Ruben Zadkovic, ready to once again enjoy his football.
Last year was probably the most fun I've had in my whole career, to be honest. And playing with Ruben, he knows how to get the best out of me, and the club done everything for me last year. So in that regard, it was a no-brainer. There was no other club into the equation. This was the place I was going to come, and I'm just happy I'm here.
If he does return to the professional ranks, Oxborough believes it won't be in Australia.
Potentially I want to go to Asia. I've had a couple of things come in already and something's been tabled, but at the end of the day my focus is here to play with the boys and win and give back to the club that gave me so much last year in that short period of time.
Oxborough's return is timely, with the Magic set to lose Dino Fajovic to suspension, while James Virgili and John Majerowski are both considered 50-50 chances of facing the Jets youth on Sunday because of injury. On Saturday, Lambton faces Hamilton, while Lake Macquarie hosts Maitland. On Sunday, Edgeworth plays Adamstown, the Blues take on Valentine. In the Women's Premier League, Warners Bay has maintained top spot thanks to a 7-2 win over South Wallsend in last night's catch-up game. Jenna Kingsley scored twice for the Bay, while Olivia Kennedy posted an impressive double for Southie. Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
One's a premiership-winning player, the other is also a premiership-winning coach. Now they've joined forces at footy's grassroots. Daniel Fitzhenry has been handed the reins to the new-look Newcastle rep side and brings a wealth of experience. He played 137 games for the Tigers and scored in their 2005 grand final win.
When I got the phone call and given the opportunity, I enjoy being around good blokes that are keen to learn, and I can't be happier at the moment.
A man who needs no introduction to Knights fans, Michael Hagan is the assistant coach.
I was involved with the Kangaroos in the World Cup, which finished in December, and now find myself at this country rugby league level. The game's been very good to me, so if you can give a little bit back to the game when you can, I think that's only fair.
Yeah, a bit daunting at first, to have him around, but he's great to work with. He's a good bloke.
With Newcastle Rugby League aligning with the state body, it's the first time the NHRL has been involved. That's created challenges, not to mention the squad has had injuries. But enthusiasm is high, and as the coaches know, that'll count for a lot come game day.
The way the format is, you have a bad day and lose, you're out. So hopefully we can get a few combinations working and play.